sometimes NFT projects have like no utility
Okay.
or you don't know it yet. Like they've been really sneaky. Like ever since the dragons got super popular with the stealth launch, everybody wants to do a stealth launch where they don't give you any information and they slowly let people in and they give people like a little bit of information at a time.
So there's a lot of like mimetic behavioral copying, like best
Oh yeah.
practices are spreading immediately. Like people are like, what, it was successful, let's copy exactly that with like a
Yep.
slight twist. Instead of bored monkeys, we're doing bored apes or whatever it's called, like Solana. Like I'm dyslexic and I keep calling them Solana MBAs when it's like SMBs.
SMB. Yeah. Yeah.
SMBs. Okay.
Yeah.
SMBs with a small s.
Yeah.
uh yeah. So tell me, what has been going on in NFT world in the last week since we spoke?
Oh, well, I think, I mean, the whole market is kind of in a downturn right now. So their
Why?
projects, I think just because like Solana dipped from 250 to 212 or whatever.
So this is what I'm wondering: is it in a downturn relative to dollars, or is it a downturn relative to Solana?
I think it's like a downturn in terms of crypto in general. Like the have you seen this chart? There's like a chart that says like money flows into Bitcoin, to Ethereum, and then the other altcoins, and then into NFTs, and then like maybe back into Bitcoin
No, I haven't, but
or
share
the
that chart with me because in my worldview, in my working mental model right now is yes, okay, fine. Everybody's getting into crypto first through Bitcoin because that's like the main, that's the first like application, the like progenitor of all blockchain. But then longer term, I think that it's going to actually be a much more reversed flow, which is Bitcoin is a store of value and it does that really well. And the majority of the people who want Bitcoin, and it's so hard to change and all that, that it's actually going to be in the future, in my opinion, money's coming into different applications using blockchains. And then when it becomes higher value, you'll store it. Literally, I just shared you'll store it in Bitcoin or whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I just shared a thread that I saw this morning from Chris Dixon where he's talking about like he has like a tweet storm, and one of them is about that. And yesterday, a little side note like related to this is I was teaching my brother how to like use a phantom wallet because I bought his name. He went on this rant in our
Mm,
family WhatsApp channel about like nobody's helping me out with my businesses, whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine, bro. So because he's in real estate, so I'm like, okay, I'll buy you your name because I bought
mm,
mine last Friday or whatever. It like takes a week to auction. So I bought his name, and then I'm like, okay, man, I have your name. Now you need to open a Phantom wallet. Send me the thing. We'll do a test. I'll send like the smallest amount of Solana I can to make sure that your wallet's working, and then I'll send it to you. So he immediately starts uploading. He's like saving his seed phrase with his first wallet in his Gmail. And I'm like, dude, as soon as it's easy to hack your Gmail. It's not like super secure. And like, you don't want the seed phrase anywhere because seed phrase controls everything. And he was like, well, what the hell is the point of like, he was like, what the hell is the point of crypto if they can steal your stuff? And I was like, because I think he has a little bit of crypto through like the central exchanges. And so that's
yeah.
how, so I was like, okay, the analogy is, and I'm going to write this up. The analogy is crypto wallet is like your mailbox. You're not gonna you can accept, it's secure in the sense that like in society it's there's the same level of security as a mailbox where most of the time people do not get stuff stolen out of their mailbox. But if you
Mm,
had like a gold brick that was getting mailed to you, you'd probably FedEx it with a signature rather than your $1,000 social security check or whatever, right? So I said the wallet is like um, your mailbox, and then like you've got centralized exchanges, which would be like a package that you'd have to go to like a UPS store or the post office to like go and sign and get out. So there's like an infrastructure there to like store for you your stuff, like the same way a
mm-hmm.
bank can store stuff. And then a hard wallet, like is like a more secure lock thing, and then like you go further down. So you always I was trying to think through and explain to him, and I'm, you know, as I was explaining it, I was also kind of developing like my own thinking around it, which was like, you still need an external facing crypto thing that makes sense to transact with the world, and
interact with the ecosystem.
you have to transact
Absolutely.
with the world
Yeah.
for low dollar things. But then also, yeah, the idea of someone being able to steal $200,000 worth of USDC because you got high and just could transfer it out in a second, like that's super crazy. You have to have like, there's got to be a lot of, we have to recreate security layers for the higher value, the thing. So sorry, thus ends my rant. Continue.
No, that's like, I've been trying to talk to people about it too, and I actually want to do that for my brother too.
Did you buy his name on Solana?
No, no, I haven't, but I just want to set up a wallet for him, like with Phantom.
But you can't set up a wallet for him for it to really be secure, because then you control his wallet if you know his seed phrase.
He doesn't care about that. He just
Okay.
he wants me to be in control of it anyway.
Okay, so then that's like Vitalik, where he had a he gave, I think he gave his mom and dad like half his seed phrase, and it was like several $billion worth of crypto in there. So go ahead. And he used MetaMask apparently.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think
anyways,
like I'm just kind of seeing more day to day, like how the market works, even in like a downtrend, and how people find projects that are maybe like interesting, or they have a small amount of supply. So a whole group will buy up like a majority of a supply. And so what's happened now, like, is this one project. It's also like a monkey pixel art derivative. They released like, I don't know, 600 of something, and they like a bunch of the groups just all decided to go in on it and like buy a bunch. And so the price has like fluctuated from 0.4 Solana to 4.5 Solana back
also
to
like a
like
10x.
one. Yeah,
okay,
and then
it's a
back
10x
to
and then like an
one,
80% reduction or whatever.
and then yeah, and now it's back to like 4 something. And it's really like, it makes me think it's just a group that's just buying the supply and getting people to buy the higher ones and then selling. And it's
Well,
just
what's interesting to me is, so I got this morning, I got randomly spammed on my Discord some, and it literally is called like, I forget what they were, they were called, but it was like a group called NFT pumps, and they were like coordinating a pump, and I'm like, this is illegal. There are laws on the book against pump and dump. You guys are like literally spamming the world, and it's not that hard to trace who you are. Like once the FBI gets, off the case of whatever, chasing down, Hillary Clinton's emails or whatever they're doing, like when they're actually like looking into like real life frauds. And so I was like, this must be rampant, like this pump and dump stuff. And in my opinion, it only really works because it works on newbie foolish people who, here's why I think it's working right now and why I don't think long term, but it, long term might be like 10 years from now, who knows how long this cycle will last. But like I think it works because there's a net inflow of new people into crypto, and specifically into NFTs. Like NFTs seems to be like a much bigger doorway for people to walk into crypto in. And what's happening is the newbies they're like, okay, well, what's hot, right? And so these guys are preying on the new people rather than the people who have been through a couple of these like micro cycles, pump and dump cycles. And so these people are like, oh my God, it's like going up, and it's all this like FOMO behavior, all this newbie chasing behavior. Well, I have to get at least one crypto punk type icon or something. Yours is Dragon what?
Like Ryoku Dragons.
What's its market value 1 week after our last convo? You bought it for what, and you got it for what?
Let me look it up on Soul Analysis real quick. I mean, the mint price was 1.1 Solana, which at the time was like $260. And we are doing the legendary auction, so they keep 10 like most rare. There's only like they're the most valuable, and they have some other utility with the ecosystem that they're creating. And the last one just sold for 460 Solana, which
And
is
what
like
is that?
$105,000 right now.
What's the cheapest?
The cheapest one is 130 Solana.
So what is
So
that, like $30,000?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a floor roughly right now of 30,000 and maybe a midpoint or a most recent $100,000 one. So you have a
Yeah.
$100,000 NFT sitting in your in your Solana wallet.
Yeah. I mean, right now, like if
Is
I
there a
wanted to sell mine, there's like a rarity index, but it doesn't really matter. It's really just like based on what people want.
yeah
But
at any given
the
point?
yeah, but the market cap is $30 million, and it's a 3 week old
Oh,
company.
wait. Last time we spoke a week ago, the market cap was 14 million and now it's at
Yep.
30. Wow.
Mhm.
So at a minimum, the overall market that you're playing in is doubled.
Yes, in a week.
Wow. Did I tell
And
you about the this thing that was floating on the internet a couple months ago where can I get a little bit blue with you? There was a guy, he was like flashing, this was back when Dogecoin was mooning, and he was flashing his Dogecoin account on Robinhood, and
yeah,
he
yeah,
used it
yeah.
to hook up with a girl. And when he's like hooking up with the girl, this is his like his claim or his narrative on what that he posted on whatever it was, Reddit or something. And she, or it was on the news actually. And when she saw it, she whipped out a gun and forced him to take the condom off and like go inside of her. And she was like, and then he got really nervous and she was kept calling him, "You're gonna be my Doge Poppy." So then she just like forced him to like finish inside of her, and then it becomes this like crazy complicated thing because it's like, okay, you quote unquote raped me or whatever, but then also like, can the state force her to take like a morning after pill to like resolve the issue? And like he had, and the thing is like he had this like super long explanation about how it was really hard to perform with a gun to his head. And he like
If that's
so
real, that's insane. Oh my
yeah,
god.
that's the crazy thing is like, yeah, if it's real, that's insane. But it seemed like I think it was in the news, so I think it's real, but you know, who knows? I just thought that was so funny. So
That
you
is
know, just be
hilarious.
careful with the world is a weird place. You don't want to have a weird rainbow dragon uh love child or whatever happens.
No, no, it's really interesting seeing how the marketplace has reacted to me being in this group now, which is like
What do you
I'm
mean?
seeing,
You
I
are
mean,
having an effect?
me, and like because I'm a part of this group, I can influence like the projects.
But
So
you're having comments and they're listening to them?
people like the project developers will reach out to me, and when I join a group, and they'll be like, oh hey, this is what we're doing, like we hope you like it. Like they think I'm like a whale, so they're trying to like get me to like
You're
really get
kind
in
of.
on it.
You're getting in on it. You're getting started.
But like it's really just like access to this like meta layer of information that, like when I first started, and I wanted to get on the whitelist for a project, which is like the special group that can either mint early or for a discount or something.
Hmm.
Or sometimes they do giveaways where they give the whitelisted people something. It's just to motivate people to like stay engaged with the project and
Okay.
use the server. And so when I first started and I didn't know anybody and I didn't have any crypto friends or NFT friends or knew anybody who used Discord really, um, I would have to type for like hours, like hours. I spent like 16 hours typing in this one chat because I needed to get to a certain level in the chat to get on the whitelist.
So what
And
would you do? You would just like reply to people and have comments and share
yeah,
your
you're just like
thoughts?
having conversations, talking about different things for like
Were you
hours. Like,
enjoying it or only kind of?
no, I mean, it was kind
Were
of
you
fun.
intentional about it? Like I need to be active in the community to get in.
Yeah,
You
that's
were
how
just
I was thinking.
hustling. Okay.
Yep,
That's smart.
grinding. We call it
You're
grinding.
grinding.
But also, like, now that I'm in this group, because people listen to what I say, or they think I know some special stuff, which I do, but I don't always know if it's good. Like there's a layer of like information filtering that happens at these higher levels because it's coming from the top people in crypto or in
Yeah.
Solana, so that it gives it a little more credibility. But even these people, like, they don't always know. And but when I want to, like, when I want to get on a whitelist, or you want to become an OG, be like the first people to find out about the project, like you find out about them really quick because the people in the projects are reaching out to the higher level people. So
Mhm.
they share it in the different groups and then you get in. And also there's another way where you can invite people to the servers, and then they give you, like, they'll give you a whitelist for inviting people into the server. So you need to have like 5 invites or 10 invites to get a specific role in the server. So now when I like post an invite into another project, a bunch of people join because they see, oh, dragon profile, like he knows what's up. Like,
Oh, that's
let's
awesome.
go.
So you're in earlier on the pyramid bottom has grown and that's pushed you up. I'm not using that as a pejorative. I'm just saying.
I mean,
No, I mean
it
it's
makes,
kind of like that. Like you are it depends what your perspective is, but on some levels you could be an OG in the system just because you're 6 months in and everybody else is 1 month in or
yeah,
whatever, you
yeah,
know.
there's people like that I meet, but they're not in any of the high level groups, so they understand that there's a larger picture at play, but they don't really know because they're not in those groups.
And
And like, as
I actually think that's part of the issue with I think the biggest uh I think the biggest commitment, honestly, in the NFT space at this stage is okay, fine, there's money, but it's actually much more about time
it's
because
so much about time
we're in a money
and timing.
abundance phase, right? Like it's all about yeah. Well, timing to me is it's like saying when someone catches a big fish, it's like, oh, you timed it right. It's like, no, dude, that guy was sitting there for like 10 hours before he got it. Like, or if you, it's to me, it's very similar to like hunting or
Yep,
whatever, which
yep,
is the flash second of all the action is just the penultimate or like the finale of all this work, right,
mm-hmm,
that went into
mm-hmm,
it, like, or and
yeah,
so if people are like, oh, you timed it right, it's like, no man, there's a lot of precision around or whatever, there was a lot of like effort behind this. So yeah, no, that's
yeah.
interesting.
And the cycles, like where you can flip the NFTs, like, will happen within a span of a minute sometimes, literally.
Well,
Like
is that humans or bots?
it's humans, like this
Human, they're
is
just like
when
frenetic, like,
this is when like it's on a secondary marketplace, so
okay,
people are listing the NFTs.
well, let's talk about for a second what was your impression of the Constitution DAO? Because this was a I want to know because you're from the NFT world. I'm gonna have the same question with a lot of other people that I'm gonna do these interviews with, and it's like I really want to see what are other people's impressions because it was Ken Griffith from
Mm,
Citadel who like came in and just outbid. You know, he knew exactly how much the DAO could spend, and he was like, okay, just whatever, 1 or 2 million above that. I think it wasn't even that. It was like slightly above, and then the DAO couldn't in real time raise more, which I'm positive if they had time to like, okay, give us an 8-hour thing, we'll go raise. It's not, you don't even need a day. We're like, we could go double this if we know we're bidding against you. But I mean, I think they also made it anonymous. So like uh, Constitution DAO had 2 major flaws in their weakness, which is I just thought about the second one. The first major flaw in an auction is you have all of your ammunition and weapons. How much money you have is fully out there for everybody to see. So so it's like I can literally, if you know, you could literally raise the price exactly to what you have. Like it's one of those like government bid things where they know what the budget is, so they just raise the price. Okay, that's our budget then. That's how much we're going to ask for. Second thing is, you know, for the most part, like supposedly it's anonymous, but a lot of it is like you kind of know who's donating, right? Whereas, and you know the entity that's bidding, it's Constitution DAO that's bidding. Whereas Ken Griffin, or whatever his name was, the Citadel hedge fund guy, he was anonymous. Nobody knew who outbid them until like the next day when he like does a like a interview with the Wall Street Journal, and he basically he was like the biggest troll of crypto ever. And he was already enemy number 1 for the fintech people, because he was the guy who he was like the short that the Wall Street Bets people were fighting against on Reddit and Robinhood. GameStop. And so, and he's been like front and center about like hating on the internet. And I'm like, man, that guy's so lucky his trades and everything are anonymous, because you are smaller. I don't care how many billions you have. You are smaller than the internet. And now there's a great quote from Machiavelli that says that it's better to be feared than loved, but never be hated, which means that like there's a point where like people don't fear you anymore and they purely will hate you, and they'll go. There was all this stuff with the GameStop thing that I was watching earlier this year where people were like YOLOing to bankruptcy, where they were like, I don't care if I lose everything. F these people. I'm going to put all my money into break their short position, just out of spite. And you're so surprised where like there's that fervent, the internet is surfacing all these people's, it's really showing like people's preferences that were hidden. There's this great book by Tim Karan. He's a Turkish American scholar, and he wrote about preference falsification, and it's basically like when the Clinton, like the best example was during the Clinton-Trump election, all the polls were like crazy off, but not like by some small margins, like 10, 20 points off in terms of when they would poll people, like who are you going to vote for, Hillary or Trump or whatever. Everybody kept saying Hillary, but it's actually like a huge percentage of people were secret Trump voters who were reporting to the polls. One, because they thought it was like there's this concept of the Overton window, like what's appropriate in society, what can you say in public, and then like he burst that. So it's really interesting, like multiple dimensions to like look at this behavior and like what went on this weekend. There's so many interesting things there. So anyways,
yeah, it is interesting to see how the DAOs come together, and like technically I'm a part of a few. Because
which DAOs are you a part of? Are you allowed to talk about it without like burning yourself?
I mean, it's just like it's different NFT projects, because every NFT wants to do a DAO, every NFT wants to make a token, every NFT, and the new thing now in the last week has been everybody wants to make an ohm fork.
Okay, first explain to me before let's table ohm fork, because I've never even heard that term before. I've seen it maybe once. Tell me about how can an NFT make a DAO? I thought you go to OpenSea or whatever, or Solana NFTs or whatever the website is, and then you just like there's an auction and you bid on it, right? Like when I'm on Bonafide buying, my names are NFT, right? So like DeepDive.soul or Sharkan.soul, those are NFTs that I bought, and on Bonafide it's an auction. 20 to 21.01 USDC on Solana buys you a name, and then other people can bid an auction on it, and then it just like transfers to my wallet, right? And when you're buying NFTs, how did you tell me how the dragon one went down, and then tell me what's the difference with that and a DAO?
I think I mean, I don't know exactly because I haven't done this, but in the research that I've done, you can register, like you could just create a DAO on a network
Well,
using
how
the
did you buy
service.
your NFTs? Let's start with step one. You're pre-DAO. How are you buying your NFTs or trying to buy
You Well, you get on Discord to get the link to mint the NFT. And that's like a link that they only show at the very last second
because then
because,
it's a fast race. It's like a land rush.
and they don't want it to get botted either. So, like,
Okay.
attacked by
And
bots.
and we in the last episode we talked about all the like word mazes that they were using to try, and it's like CAPTCHA on steroids basically, to try and like get the bots to get confused so only humans could figure out what to do. And
Yeah.
then was super interesting NL, natural language processing system, because they were using anti-words about like rugged and things to like trick the bots to not go as a
Yeah.
way. And like the fact that humans figured out what the bots were looking for, which is like a natural language processing thing. I don't know if you're familiar with GPT-3. Do you know what that is? It's
No.
like what's that guy's name? This the founder from Y Combinator, him and a bunch of people, open.ai, they created this like the most advanced natural language computer in the world, and so you can run an API off of it. And so humans, anyways, long story short, you get the link, you click on it, then you connect your wallet, buy it, and then that's it. And then it's transferred to your wallet.
Yeah, and then you have a verification process which is usually done by Grape, and Grape is like its own service on Solana that verifies that you have the NFT in your wallet, that it's connected to this name on your Discord.
Why do you need that? It's connecting your wallet and your Discord. That's what it's verifying. It's not connecting the NFT in your wallet, because that's right?
No, it's like, it's just saying like, we know the like, you know, MAC address basically of the NFT. We know what the NFT looks like.
So Grape is to verify, it's to verify that the NFT sits in the wallet connected to the Discord. You can connect your wallet in your Discord so that your icon is real and not fake. Like if I copy and pasted your icon and put it in my Discord, the difference is, as someone, you'll have what, like a Grape badge on yours and I don't? No, it's like the blue check mark.
You can, what you have to do to verify it is go into the Dragons Discord itself and see the verified holders and see my name.
Oh, so that's how I audit. So if you randomly DM'd me on Discord, right? Let's say you're a stranger, you DM me, and I see this dragon icon. I'm like, oh, he's part of it. But for me to verify that it's not just a screen grab and like copy and paste, I go into the Discord and then I see that they have a Grape like application or extension or whatever in there. And then you can then verify. That's the way you audit an NFT in 2021 in November. Like it's a little janky, but like it's still better than nothing. It's like a great that the service popped up to verify. Okay.
So if you don't have access to the server, which like anybody can join in the general like population,
and that information is posted in the general one.
It's like,
this is amazing. This is
so
amazing.
You can see, so like, and eventually like Twitter wants to do something where they verify your profile picture NFT, so everybody knows that this is really you. And I think they have done some with some ETH stuff with Ethereum, like Bored Apes Yacht Club and CryptoPunks, I think, can verify.
Kind of makes me pissed off that I haven't, like, I made all these like fun Instagram videos, and I'm like, man, those are some of that stuff would be like all that content that we were giving away to like Facebook and Twitter or Facebook and Instagram for 10 years or 20 years, however long people have been doing them. You're like, hell man, that stuff is worth something. You know, like even if it's worth 5 cents, it's my 5 cents.
Yep. And I think like that's eventually where like content creation is going to
Like
go.
your content is your stuff. Your pictures are
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah, and like that's kind of what the NFTs are, is they are they're a membership badge to a club. If the NFT project is a DAO, it's like a vote in the DAO, a membership to the DAO. If they have a token, it gets you the token drop. So you
Oh, that's right. So when I had my .eth NFT, sharecon.eth, ENS airdropped some tokens. And it's all publicly. You can anybody can use a block explorer to like see who has what. That's the other. It's like kind of scary thing about crypto is anybody once the assets start to get big, it's like, oh, I know exactly how much my neighbor has, and I know
yeah,
exactly, you know. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
you have to know who the wallets uh like belong to, but if
Well,
you
if you
know
go to
what transaction took place.
kellymiller.eth, what's your, oh, by the way, did you get your ETH name? So did you
No.
get your soul name? Some asshole
No.
outbid your soul?
Yeah.
How much did they bid? How much did you bid for it?
It wasn't that much.
$21?
Yeah, yeah, I just bid the minimum, and then I didn't get to it in time because I was flying that day, so I didn't see
Oh
the
no,
end
you
of
were
it.
midair.
So yeah, so
How
they
much did
didn't
they
outbid
bid?
me. 25. Like it
Oh,
wasn't
that's
that
so
much more.
stupid. That's the dumbest thing in the world. I told you about my battle of buying the NFT Kansas.Soul. It was last Friday. And my name was coming. I told, you know, whatever Siri to remind me 30 minutes before. Like, so I just want to sit there and watch it. Right. And I even made
Yeah.
a video and posted it on Instagram. And, but but in the half hour before, you're like on that domains page and you're like, it's showing you not exactly the NFTs that are going offline, but like it's showing you the ones that are ticking down that are also high
Yeah.
value that people are
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
bidding
Yeah.
on. And for some reason, Kansas.Soul was on there. And a lot of them are like hilarious NFTs, like the poop emoji .soul, or I think one was called like Texas Titty Twister or something. I remember there was one that was called Titties or something, and it was like
Yeah.
hilarious. Like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna like try to outbid someone's joke soul like NFT, but it was Kansas.Soul, and I was like, and it was going for whatever the minimum, and I was like, F that, like I'll bid $1 over that. I'd like to own Kansas, and then I'll flip it to Kansas for whatever. At minimum, they would buy it for $200, which would be a 10x in like 5 minutes. Or more likely, they'd pay $20,000 or 200,000 or 2 million. Who knows what Solana will be worth? Maybe it'll be worth nothing. So I bid, and then the guy bid 33, and there's still like 9-10 minutes left, and it gets down to like 5 minutes, and then it was like, oh, auction is over, and then the guy got it, and I was like, there's still 5 minutes left, and so it was buggy as hell. And this was the thing, I knew there was a bug on Bonafide because DeepDive.Soul, when I bid it, the auction ended and it just gave it to me. So I don't
Nice.
understand what's, either there's a bug in the software or there's a bug in their communications, because there might be some obvious rules that if you're the initiator of it and someone bids, they might have something where if like you just slightly overbid and you'd go a couple times, somebody's just like death by 1,000 cuts bidding you, like just bothering you, and then they'll just automatically give it to the initiator. I don't know what their rules are. It could just be a clear bug, but it was super annoying. I was like, I would have probably bid over $30. Like that guy got it for 33. I was like, unless it's the state of Kansas, nobody else has a moral right to that name more than me, right? We're equally have the claim on it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're from Kansas.
Maybe. But I feel like a lot of people are doing that. They're just buying up the domains just because. I
Just like
know
clear like
people in my
speculation.
group are doing that. Yeah, they talk about it. They're like, oh yeah, we're buying this domain, we're buying that domain. Now the big trend in like NFTs is there's this one that's all about game theory. And it
Okay.
just came out in on Ethereum. And it's like there's a farmer, and he's the NFTs are wolves and sheep, and so they're on like these teams. And so the sheep, I don't quite understand like the whole premise of it because I'm not a part of the project, but even though they listed for 0.0 0.005 Ethereum, the gas was still like $1,000 or something. Like it
Dude,
was
I don't know
insane.
what people are thinking. They're like all these like fanatical uh uh like ETH lovers. I don't know what to call them, but gas fees make Ethereum impossible to use. Who in their right mind, and I'm not rich, but I'm not poor. And like I'm not spending $200 for a $5 transaction. Do you know what I mean? And like
Yeah,
even if
and
it's speculation, it's like
yeah.
long term,
That's
this
why I
just
didn't
doesn't
get in
make any
that
sense.
NFT. That's why I didn't. I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, there's this really big guy, Gary V, and he has a YouTube channel. And like,
Oh, I know
yeah,
him.
you've seen it. He's huge. And he was pumping this one like crazy. And so basically the premise is like the sheep have a bunch of the token that they generate, and the token is called wool, like literally wool.
Okay.
and
Okay.
and the wolves, like the team leaders of the sheep and the wolves, can decide like as a group, they decide like, do we keep the wool for ourselves or do the wolves try to steal it? And so it's kind of this will they won't they like
Wait,
game
it's a
theory.
real-time game?
It's no it's I mean I
It's a
think right
two-sided
now
marketplace or something? Like how do the wolves and sheep interact? You've got two
they
different tokens?
they just decide. I think
Or vote on
right now,
what?
yeah, they vote on like, should the wolves take the sheep's wool or should the sheep keep the wool from the wolves? And if
Oh,
they
wait,
did,
wait, wait. These are like classic psych
yeah,
experiments.
yeah, that's why this is so
Oh,
interesting.
someone has NFT psych experiments.
Yeah.
Oh,
and and
snap.
and this is like the interesting part, because uh if they do a certain thing that is deemed like, I don't know, a worse option, which I don't know exactly what that is, but if they pick the worst option, then the wool gets burned and nobody gets to use it. So like for
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah,
cycle.
yeah. Okay, okay. This is an experiment. I'm not a psych major. I took one psych class the last semester of college when I was goofing off. It was the only real class I had. But maybe I read it in that class or it was on the literature, because psych is super, super interesting, obviously. Like there's so much overlap between econ and psych, especially like experimental economics, which was like super big in George Mason, where I successfully did one master's and then successfully dropped out of a PhD program in public policy over there. But there was a literature that, you know, it's like old school psych, which was talking about, there's a couple of these versions of this game, which is two people. It's like that police thing where they take the criminals and they put them in different rooms. And like, as long as the criminals have high levels of trust that nobody's going to leak or rat, like the criminals are going to get away with it. But if the cops are like, if you rat on that guy, you'll get like a slap on the wrist, and that guy will do all the time. Like someone's gonna have to, and then they like play them off each other. And they have this game where like they put two people in a room, and then like uh, it depends on if it's a one-time game or a repetitive game. So like, because that talks about reputation. So if it's like you get $100 and you get to decide how much the other one gets, and the other person doesn't get to decide how much they get, but they get to decide to veto it, and like nobody gets any money.
This is basically what that NFT is, I think. That exact
those
experiment.
psych experiment games. Yeah,
they do it in cycles too. So like they can still accumulate more, but they have to learn from their previous experiences.
Also, it's like like repetitive game.
Yeah, like, and because of this, people minted it for like 0.01 Ethereum or something like that, like $300, and they're selling for like 8 or 9 Ethereum right now, and the thing just started. So people are just starting to find out about this, and it already exploded that much.
You know, I think, you know how people are deriding all this NFT behavior and how it's like a waste of money or whatever. I'm like, dude, think about how much time. And like, if you think about the dopamine hit that people get from like swiping on Instagram, right? And just looking at, or how much TikTok, you just sit there and stare at goofy dances. And I like look up, last year during the pandemic, I was like looking at TikTok, I downloaded TikTok, and I found myself losing hours, right? And then all of a sudden Instagram came out with Reels, their TikTok copy, and I deleted TikTok. And then all of a sudden I'm like burning hours on Reels again. And I'm like, it's entertaining, right? But if you think about like, all these people are getting into crypto, and then you now have an entertaining way to use it. There's a use case and dopamine hits and all that stuff. Think about what is the human civilization, how much of it is like around entertainment. It's a big chunk, right? As you get more wealthy, as like whatever, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like after you take care of your basic, your food and your housing, your clothing, and then like you move up and up and up, and then you're just like, okay, well, I have this these tokens, and I earned the money in crypto, and I'm gonna blow it in crypto. Like, there's some percentage of people that are just gonna spend their money that way. And you know,
it seems like it. And I get sad when I see people who are like, oh, I lost out on this project, I lost out on that project, but they keep going. And
you mean they
and
lost money?
Yeah, like they'll mint something for 5 Solana and the price will go down to like 1 or something.
Well,
And
okay.
and they'll still hold on to it because they still want to get some of the benefits from it. But like right now, I think I'm in like literally one of the best, if not the best project in like what the NFT space as a whole, because you can tell that they have thought out every step of the way, and they are like doing everything in like a slow drip of information, and so the hype is just building. Like they listed our token, and the token,
Wait, now Dragon has their own token?
yeah,
This was did that exist last week?
They dropped it. Yeah, they dropped it like like a week and a half
So
ago.
yeah, I don't think we talked about they did a token drop to the NFTs. I don't think we talked about that. So now there's a currency.
They had given it to me, and it didn't have any intrinsic value because it wasn't listed on marketplace yet. So
so the tokens existed, it just didn't have any, it wasn't tradable. So there was no like pair swaps, like you couldn't go to Uniswap or whatever and like swap it out.
They do a USDC pair with Boku, and it's on Radium actually.
Oh, you did talk about Boku.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was getting Boku every day, but I didn't know.
Oh, this is the story. Okay, my brain has just started to stitch together again from last time we talked. The Boku is the materials that you get from breeding these dragons, right?
You just get it for holding one, and it's used to breed the second.
Oh yes, generation. Okay. And then the second generation, you could then you would then have 2, and you get Boku from the first and the second. It's classic. In my parents are from Pakistan, and there's this classic story that they tell to teach people the concept of compounding, right? Not specifically compound interest, but just the concept of compounding. And I'll just do this a quick side note. So there's this guy, Sheikh Chili, right? And this, like, it's like he's got his honorific title, and he's got this egg, right? And someone gifts him an egg, and he's like, oh my God, with this egg, I'm gonna grow a chicken. And then that chicken I'll breed it with a rooster, and then I'll have more eggs and more chickens, and then they'll have eggs, and then that one, and he's getting all excited, and all of a sudden he drops his egg and it breaks. And it's like the lesson is basically like, so people, whenever I talk to people about investing in general, whether it's in real estate or companies or whatever, compounding, like there's something about the mind that like doesn't understand exponentials. Like it's very hard for us to grasp that, and especially not parabolics, where like something looks linear and then it just goes up. Like that's why, you know, viruses and things are so like pernicious for the human psychology. But I always but people understand farming analogies. So like if you explain that, like people can get their heads wrapped around like things like that. So okay, so now what's the Boku worth?
So they wanted to give it to us early before, like not
before there
before it
was a
was
market.
listed, but like right as it was listed. And they set the amount at $1. I think every token usually like starts at $1, and then
Wait,
people,
did you get the NFT first and then they airdropped it, or the token
yeah,
came with the NFT?
the token came after like the second day or third
Oh,
day
so they
of
obviously
us.
had it loaded up. They were like, first we do the
Yes,
NFT mints, next day we send them the tokens,
yes, and
and
the other
then when did they
projects,
price it? When did they
the
release the price?
this last week was when it was
Like a
officially
week
listed.
after they give you the tokens. Can I ask how many it was? I'm sure it's public, attached to
uh
your dragon.
7 each a day per dragon.
Oh snap! So you have one
So
dragon, so you've got 50 tokens or 100 tokens because you've held it for X number of days,
I think I have like 104 or something like that.
and every day you get 7.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
and
compound; it just
no,
grows at a
it
fixed rate of 7.
they have things you can do where you can put it in the liquidity pool. You can to like get
Oh my
interest on
god,
it.
that's
Uh,
super interesting.
and also for the supply, it like diminishes the supply, so it puts upward
Wait,
pressure
oh,
on the
you
price.
burn the tokens every time you mint a new dragon,
They're doing that, yeah, because
and
you spend.
why else would it be spent?
Yeah, it would, because they're also going to do things where they're going to have like merchandise probably. They don't release a ton of information. I'm just kind of going off of like what
Wow,
Cybercom
this is
did.
really like they're building their own world, and the longer
Yes,
people lock into it, it's like Disney bucks.
yes,
Like if
yes,
you're gonna say that these guys are like making their own fake currencies or whatever, then talk to me about Disney bucks then, or
yeah,
talk to me
yeah,
about Chuck E. Cheese's, where
yep, yep,
you play skee ball and then they give you this like giant list of your tickets and
yeah,
the tickets, and then I knew as a little kid I was very aware of ticket inflation. I was like, but the Chuck E. Cheese's at my in Bedford, Texas, or whatever it was, Hearst, Texas, was um, they were used to be called Showbiz Pizza, and then Chuck E. Cheese's bought them, and it was basically the same. They didn't really change the characters. And I remember that a certain like 100 tickets would buy one thing, and then 200 tickets would buy the bigger prizes go up. And then I just remember I was like storing and saving like a Scrooge McDuck all these tickets, and I was like, oh
yeah,
my god, I'm gonna get the biggest prizes. And I was like loading up on tickets, and then I go in there and then the prices are changed, and I'm like, these
yeah.
mfers are screwing me. And when I was like 8 years old, I was like, the system is corrupt, the corruption at Chuck E. Cheese's. And I was like, where's the newspapers, where's Teen Life, Teen Beat magazine covering the corruption at Chuck E. Cheese's?
They have like all these systems put in place for inflation. So every time you breed a token or a baby dragon, not only do the tokens get burned, but there's also a 5% inflation increase for every like baby
Okay,
that's bred.
so where's the inflation and where's the deflation? Or let's call it this way. I actually hate this word inflation because it's a misnomer. It's actually the appropriate name, and I'm going to be on a crusade. I saw someone on Twitter. I don't know who said this first, but I got it. It's not my original idea. Someone on Twitter said this, and it actually made me think. Inflation is a multivariate issue, right? So demand
Yeah,
can induce inflation or whatever, right?
yeah,
So outside money can come in and bid up
yep,
your things, and then the prices would go up or whatever. But making more of these tokens is diluting it,
yeah,
and removing tokens is whatever, like a share buyback or something, or burning.
yeah.
And then the inflation is more a relative of like supply and demand. So the supply part is the tokens, and then the demand is how much people want these specific objects you can buy with the tokens. So tell me,
Yes.
what's the supply increase and what's the supply decrease for the tokens? We know that every time you mint a new dragon, you burn tokens.
Well, you can't mint any other Gen 1s. You can do the next
Gen 2,
So
and it
yeah,
costs tokens, and those tokens
yes,
disappear from the
yep,
system. Okay,
yeah.
so that's
So
one
those tokens
supply.
are burned.
That's one supply decrease.
And then the other supply, like, is that every time someone breeds a baby, the price increases by 5%. So
Wait. Explain that to me. Oh, the next baby,
yes,
the
it's
the
5%
cost
more
to breed another baby costs
in
more.
Boku. Yeah.
So the purchasing power of the tokens goes down relative to buying babies every single time a baby is born.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is in effect deflationary,
Yeah.
because you can buy, 100 Boku doesn't get you a baby. If tomorrow a baby's born, 100 Boku gets 105 Boku would get you a baby. Did you
Yeah.
say 5%? What?
Yeah. And it's like 840 Boku to breed a dragon. But then you also have you can do a faster hatch where you make the egg hatch faster, and that's like 350 more Boku. And every
So
time you spend it, it gets burned.
okay, so then you can spend it to accelerate the baby born, the hatching, whatever you want to call the dragons being born. This is such a weird thing that if you just like look at the transcript of what I'm saying, I went to a lot of school, and then this is where I ended up in my life after all this like 15 years of grad school, whatever I spent, and this is what I do now, is like talking about fictitious characters. That's some of the world in 2021. So if we, oh man, these guys behind me, can you hear them?
A little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to say shut the hell up in Indonesian, but I'm gonna learn it one day. I'm filming a podcast at a cafe instead of a private space. So is there like a model that they're posting showing where it's so you're having natural inflation every day because they're pumping 7 Boku per NFT per day, at least for Gen 1. And then you've got people breeding and deleting these Boku for making new generations. But then you're going to do the Gen 2 ones get 7 a day, or they get less?
I think they haven't said yet, but they're probably going to make it less, maybe like 1 or 2 or something.
Let me ask you a question. Who controls this? Is it a DAO that controls this?
It's just the tokenomics of the token supply.
But like, is this written in a smart contract?
I think
Who's
so,
control?
yeah.
Is there, and who are the people? How do they exert control over this thing? Is it a DAO, or is it like a corporation or an LLC? Like,
I think the smart contract is just the token, and it's like economic model, and they when they create the token, that's what they use, and so it can't be changed. It's just
but
like this.
how do they? My question is like, okay, I understand before people have bought their NFTs and before all this stuff has happened, they control everything because they have all of the supply. Now, this is a real question that I don't know if you have the answer to, but this is something that needs to get answered maybe for next episode. But like, if they issue all these NFTs, right? Now the network is owned by all these people. So do they have to, all these people? Because normally if I go public with a company and now the shareholders are, I'm not the 51% of the shareholders, I'm like less than 50% of the shareholders. Every time I want to make a change, I need to have a vote, right? And like if you have like tokens and stuff, you need to be able to vote to do these things. And so the control aspect of how these NFTs and things are working is still very opaque and mysterious to me. I still don't quite understand it.
And that's where the DAO comes in, is like you are part of the group and everybody votes on specific things for the group.
So is there a governance token this Boku, or is the Boku just one? What's governing the DAO? You have a separate token for them?
No, it's just the NFT project itself, like the NFTs themselves and the holders, because the holders control like a certain percentage of the supply. I don't remember, but but they didn't dump all of the supply onto the market. They only dumped like 25% or something.
Oh, so they still control more than 50% of the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. So they don't really have to go public on any major issues.
No.
Because when we got the ENS coins, we had to then vote and like with proxies, and you choose proxies to whatever. But like at some point, if you're not controlling the majority of the coin, when you make new changes or whatever, you need to the holders of the system need to agree to it. Otherwise, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
In my opinion.
yeah. And I think like eventually this one's gonna get to that point where it's just very direct. I wanted to see right now at this current moment one Boku is it's like $5.50.
So
5.6.
you have like $800 of Boku,
Yeah.
and you get 7 a day, so you're getting $30 a day
Right
or
now.
25,
Yeah.
whatever 7 times 5 is. What is that?
30.
35 bucks.
35,
You're getting
yeah.
$35 a day from owning this NFT.
But on paper, if I was to sell it all, then yes, I would have that. But the price also fluctuates based on the demand.
Well,
Obviously,
we
like,
now have two big variables, right? We have, okay, the NFT itself, once minted, to you, it's worth somewhere between 30,000 in USD terms. It's somewhere between 30,000 and 100,000 plus, right? I don't know what the most expensive NFT is. The most recent price reference was 100K.
yeah.
So on 100K, you're doing 35 a day. Let's say, what would you estimate the median value of your thing was? Like medium price. Don't be overly conservative, but don't be too generous. What do you think your NFT is worth? Of your NFT, what do you think your NFT is worth? Let's get a fair price.
At this current time, like based on the attributes that I have, I would say about 150 Solana.
What is that?
I think it's like $30,000.
150,000, 150 Solana times how much?
250 or something. It's about there.
250 equals, so 37,000 is your NFT. Okay, so it's just like near the bottom, right?
Yeah.
But that's still really amazing. How much did you pay for it? Like you paid like
$260.
Okay, so you did awesome on this. All the work was worth it. Okay, so 35,000. Let's say your house or your asset is $35,000 in total value, right? If you were gonna pay cash for it, it would be 35,000. And $5 times $5 is how much one Boku is worth. One Boku, you're getting 7 a day holding this asset. So you're getting 35 a day times 365. That's 12,000. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, I can't even see my face. I hide my face because it's distracting. Okay, so it's 12,775 dollars on a $35,000 asset, divided by 35,000 equals times 100. Your CAGR, your compounded annual return, just based on today's spot price that we just estimated, is 36.5%. So if the prices stay firm and your asset is worth whatever it's worth, you're getting a compounded, 36.5%, which is off the charts. One of the reasons why Amazon went from is one of the biggest companies in the world right now is because they were able to maintain something like a 20% growth rate, but they kept it for 20 years, right? So having a crazy high growth rate, it matters, but like what really matters is how long it can sustain. So we know in the smart contract right now, you've got 7 coming a day, and their reference price is $5. We have no idea. Obviously, I don't think that this ratio is sustainable, because if your NFT really is giving you 36% CAGR a year, your base asset is going to be worth a lot more, which would bring down your return a lot less. So the next person's like, I want 36% return. I'll buy it for 30,000. And then the next person's like, F that, I'll take a 20% return. I'll buy it for 50,000. Right. And so
they have to, like, they would have to be listed, but that's why like the value of Boku, this is, by the way, this is the cheapest I've seen it since it started. Like they wanted to give it to us for $1 each, and right off the bat, it was at $10 each, basically. And so the highest
Like
I've
within
seen it,
seconds.
yes, like
I
the
wonder what
highest I've seen
machine,
it was
what
$20.
system they're using. What are they
They
auctioning it on? Where are they minting it on?
well, the token is available on Radium.
And no, but where do they mint their NFT?
Oh, the NFT was minted on like the Solana network, but I'm not sure exactly where.
Wait,
But like
it wasn't like, you know how like you go through OpenSea to get an NFT? Like
the OpenSea is just the marketplace. So like the
once you have the,
marketplace
okay, go ahead, explain it to
is
me.
how you buy the
A
NFTs,
secondary NFT.
secondary marketplace. So the NFTs get minted on at a website, and
Their
like
own their own
own
site.
website.
Just
Mhm.
like Bonafide
Yep.
or whatever, when you want to buy their naming NFT, you go to
Yep.
their site, link your wallet, and then buy it. What did you
Yep.
buy the dragon? What you bought it in Solana, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay,
It's a
so
lot.
because like Bonafide was selling theirs not in Solana but in USDC, and then they just posted a thing saying they're going to switch to their own FIDA currency, which in
Yeah.
my opinion is going to drive up demand for their currency like crazy,
Yeah.
because their token, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, FIDA. No, this is super interesting. I've spent most of my time, because I do have somewhat of a sense of taste in terms of art, in the sense that like I always like, I know that's like, it's like cliche because like people are so like snobby about that stuff, which is like, oh, you like the Beatles, you like Michael Jackson. It's like, yeah, because they're amazing. Like, show me someone better than, like, show me a group better than. I like Banksy. His art is cool and it speaks to me. But then the only time I've had, there was another artist, Lush Sucks, which I mentioned before, where I had found out about him through Instagram or something way early, and it was like years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, before he kind of really blew up, because he had done a cool piece of art about Elon Musk smoking weed, and then I was like, he came on my radar, and I started looking through his stuff, and he just does some of the best, like, he's not political, but it's like pop culture. He mocks pop culture with his things where he merges their face. He like merged like 50 Cent and Mao Zedong, and is like communist fitty or something. And he does interesting stuff like that. And then there's a guy that I knew in Istanbul who was an artist, a political artist like Banksy, and that guy, I wish he would mint his stuff. I actually screen grabbed a photo I took of, I randomly saw his art. I knew the guy personally, and I randomly saw his art on a wall when I was walking through. You know, Topane, that area right near down the street where the light rail comes in just next to Karakoy, and I saw his art on a wall, and I was like, oh, I know that guy, and I took a photo because it was an awesome picture, and then when I got like a Capital One MasterCard or something, or some Capital One credit card, they have this feature where like as a marketing thing, they're like, you can have your own images on there. And I uploaded this guy's art as the thing, and he didn't get paid, you know, because there was no way for me to, like, I guess, unless he, like, you know, I guess he could transfer him some money or something. But like, it's, so that guy's art, and now I'm thinking like, so I have a little bit of sense of taste in what I like, and I don't know if that speaks widely to the general public, which is really what you want to make money. But for me personally, I'm focusing more on the NFTs that I can understand, which are basically just like domain names at this stage, which is like, okay, like I wanted to buy, I had this idea 6 months ago. I should have done it because it's probably worth a ton of money, or at least I would have gotten ENS tokens, which was last summer. This is like 6 months ago. I was buying my name, and I was like, oh, I should buy like all the Dallas Cowboys names and buy up all these addresses. I would have made like millions if I'd have just done it. Like DAC.eth. And so I'm focused on the names for now. But I do want to, I'm going to try and get my cousin to sell me her art. And then what I'll do is if I mint them, I'll give her the majority ownership of that art. but because she's being, you know, she's a college student and whatever, and so she's not super interested. She just hears like her older cousin talking about like going crazy about NFTs, and I'm like, no, you should mint the art. Like, it's your art's really good. So what I'm gonna do is mint her art, and then if it's worth anything, then she can have most of the royalties or whatever, or majority control of her own art. But my question is how would I do that? Like, let's say someone sends me 100 of their JPEGs that they themselves made, right? What would I do?
I think, well, I don't know the whole development process, but just what I've seen in my experience has been that you have a developer, you have the artist, and you have the art, and you have to have like multiple different attributes of the art. Like if you're making a collection, if you're gonna make a collection that's using like a random generator to like put all the pieces together, that's one thing. But if you're just like minting individual pieces, they call them one-to-ones. Like you created this thing and you are minting it as this NFT, and that's it, you know.
Uh-huh.
Those you can do individually on like Rarible.com lets you do it, which is also has a marketplace for Ethereum.
But Rarible's on Ethereum, right?
Yeah,
How would
yeah.
I mint my own art on Solana? I'm done with Ethereum until like
yeah.
they lower their gas fees. F that.
Yeah,
I mean, unless
yeah.
if everybody collectively decides to move up to to Polygon Matic,
Yeah.
and then we can all play, because the Matic is fine. It's like effectively the same as Solana, but on an L2, if everybody from Ethereum moves up to Matic, then it's fine. But they're still early, man. The guy's like begging Uniswap, please open your Uniswap market on Matic. You know, did you see that Twitter? Yeah.
I've heard people talking about that. I mean, I don't know exactly the process for Solana. That's something that I want to research more, because the more like clout I build, the more ideas I'm getting on how to
And the more once you go through the process and then understand it at a user level. It wasn't until I started doing this stuff, and I mean, I have a million things I want to do, but I'm mostly time constrained. You know, like if I was a robot, I could just like plow through my like laundry list of things in crypto that I need to get through. But like,
I pretty much work on this like 16 hours a day.
Every day.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're working more than me. You're working more than me. The way I work is I'm more on like the investing side of it. But that's why I think like, you know, I haven't even gotten through that whole Tim Ferriss, Chris Dixon, Naval podcast, because in Istanbul, at least I can walk and do it and like listen. Here in Bali, I'm like, you know, there's no place to walk. So I'm like listening to the podcast on the motorbike. I need to like take a loop around the island just to get through my podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else you want to cover before we sign off?
I just think that it's really cool because NFT projects, they're not only creating DAOs, they're not only creating their own tokens, they're not only creating their own like they'll create their own NFT projects as groups, or individuals in those groups will create their own, and it's kind of like connected to or sponsored by the bigger groups. They're also doing this thing where they are creating validators for Solana. So
wait, the DAOs are, or the NFT DAOs?
The NFT DAOs are.
Yeah. Wait. Are you saying that the NFT, because this is something that was alluded to by Dixon and Naval, but I haven't seen it in practice, which was using the NFTs as shares, as like governance tokens. The NFT itself becomes the governance token. Like you can vote if you own the NFT. The NFT is like, I own, you know, whatever.
That's what the NFT DAO is. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm reminding me bend it a little bit. So did my connection
drop
out?
You froze a bit for a little bit. What did you ask?
Sorry, I just got a warning saying my internet is unstable. So I would make a NFT
Mhm.
and then make a DAO, or I make a DAO and mint a bunch of NFTs. Do you know
I
how this
think
would work?
a lot of times what you see is the NFT mints, it like drops, the launch happens, everyone mints the NFT, and then the people who don't sell all of theirs, they keep at least one or multiple. They can verify them through Grape with their Discord, and then they become a part of the DAO. So
No,
it's
no,
like,
no, no. A DAO has to be is a smart contract organization. So okay, you verified your NFTs. Where does the DAO come from? Who's
the
making it? And how
DAO,
does it happen?
I think
Syndicate
the
DAO.
DAO creation happens in Grape, actually. I think.
Okay, we need to research this because there's I was looking at Constitution DAOs, the services that they used. Like they use like Juicebox to like handle the money in and out, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know how useful it's going to be to me because I don't really want to play in the Ethereum ecosystem because I don't want to burn thousands of dollars just learning. I'd rather burn thousands of fractions of pennies to learn.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these companies or entities are also doing things for Solana, but I'll have to like start to Google search like what's the Solana version of Juicebox? Like what's the
Yep.
Solana version of Syndicate DAO? Like what's the
Uh,
Solana version of
I
XYZ?
I I don't quite know the names, but my understanding is that the process usually is NFT drop, DAO creation, token creation, and then like whatever else happens after that that the DAO can decide on.
Okay, so
But
so then let's say the DAO becomes a thing. You've got the Discord, you've got the NFTs with validated, and so you've got all these members in there that are verified through Grade. You have this DAO, then they're what, buying hardware and becoming validators?
I think so. I think this one group, that's what they're doing. And there's something called RPC that they're doing, which I don't quite understand. Everybody in this group and the people who created it are coders themselves. And so they're
Yeah, yeah.
they're developers, they're coders, like, or they're people who just bought into the project because they believe in the long term of the project. And it's another project that this one was actually 2.5 Solana to mint, which is a lot
What is
in
that? Like
today's
eight hundred
market.
dollars, seven, $800?
Yeah, you hardly ever see a project that mints for that high of a cost. But the reason that they were doing it was because they wanted to buy all this hardware and develop all this
Oh. So
setup to
they're
validate it.
the money that they were generating was gonna go towards buying hardware.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was a company that I linked to on. I have that on my Discord. I have got like a mining channel, and I think last week I linked to. There's a company that specializes in building. They just like right now. There's no like Bitmain miner. You know, like that company that like that like it's a big company now. Then they specialize in building Bitcoin mining modules, like
Yeah.
mining rigs that you can just string together. And they even did a deal with TSMC to get like the most cutting edge 5 nanometer chips and whatever, right? So they've got these like really hard processing miners, and but there's a small company that they're building custom miners for custom coins because each coin has their own reward system, right? So I think Solana has, if you go to their website, for miners, it's like got super high hardware requirements. Like minimum internet speed, bandwidth speed is like 350 megabits per second, and like they advise 1 gigabit speed, right?
Yeah.
So that right off the bat, you're like you need to at least have a fiber line, and then you have to have like because they're all about like speed and hardware. And then so they built a custom hardware rig for that. So there's no like off the shelf some like if I could buy a Solana miner right now, I would totally do it. And
Yeah.
there's no way for me to have these extra laptops I'm going to mine with. There's no way for me to mine Solana with a laptop. Like I have to mine like shit coins and then just swap them into Solana.
Yep. And you have to program the miners in Rust, which is Solana's programming language.
Well, the thing is you could then theoretically someone else can just come in and you can just use their program. You know what I mean? And
Yep. That's what people do already with
yeah,
programs like Phoenix Miner and this other one, I forget. Um, but yeah, so like all these NFT groups are trying to outdo each other and stand out from each other by having unique things like this other one that I'm a part of. They're creating a cross-chain wallet where you can store your NFTs from Ethereum or Solana or Tezos or like
a hard
AVAX.
wallet,
No, like a virtual wallet thing.
like MetaMask or whatever. What's the other one?
It's almost gonna
Or
be
Phantom.
like an art gallery, I think. Like,
but it's a wallet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's got a different UI user interface than like Phantom or MetaMask.
I think there's already some where they've built a virtual space and you can walk around it like an art gallery and you can see people's NFTs. People have already built those, and
Dude.
but this one's gonna be like cross chain. So instead of having to have them all be Ethereum or all be whatever, they can be like multiple ones. And
That's so interesting. We need to, at some point, I like having individual conversations, and I'm going to keep having individual conversations with other people as well. But I actually think we've got to have a conversation with you and Trevin and me on there, because
Yeah.
Trevin he's mostly just doing general purpose stuff on Cardano, right? And I think it's great. Like I'm not anti any chain. Like we're so early. I'm very pro. I think there's going to be a lot of winners, but he's because he's a programmer, he has a little bit more tribalism, right? Because he's like actually working with it, but he's also super into games, and he bought there's like a, what was that world? I think it's like a Cardano version of Dreamland. And he bought, like, he showed me this map, and I'm gonna have him do it on the next thing that we have, or maybe we'll do it when we do a joint one, where he like bought plots on the land, and like and I was like, this looks so dumb. But it was like just a 2D version, and then he was like, no, this is what it's gonna look like, because it hasn't even started yet, right?
Yeah.
And so then you go in, he's showing me what Dreamland looked like, and it was like a real first person shooter kind of game, or a Sims kind of game where you're like running around in the land. And I was like, oh, so you literally like bought like an NFT real estate. And it's so interesting because it also like randomly generates where you get it. So like it's fascinating.
Sense. We're just buying like a plot of land, but you can't pick where it is. There's just specific sections
because they don't want
like this is sold.
I think it makes sense in some ways, because it's the same kind of thing with Bonafide where they're doing the auction or whatever. They don't want like speculators to come in and ruin for the rest of the people, because like if the early people get in all the best spots, it ruins the FOMO that you need. You need FOMO to get to like some sort of self-sustaining ecosystem. So everybody needs to there always still needs to be green space on the riverfront for the best properties to be built. Otherwise, everybody's going to be like, well, I don't want to come in starting out as a third class citizen. I'll go to a game that's like, I have a shot,
Yeah.
So no, it's super interesting.
And it's just all the foundations of all these technologies. And that's what excites me about NFTs is like, obviously 90% of them are just low effort bullshit, like people trying to just like steal people's money, and but there are some really, really unique ideas, interesting ideas. People put a ton of work into them, and you can tell like they have something special here. And if they consistently deliver and they actually like create a good product, then you picked a winner, basically. Like this.
And what's interesting about I think about your perspective, which is you spent 20 years grinding in the music space, so you understand that people are paying money, whether it's drinks or a cover charge, to come and sit and listen to me. And they don't have, not only is there the money thing, but they don't have like weekend nights 7 nights a week. Like this is probably the only night they're going out this week, right?
Yeah.
And you've practiced all week with your band or on your music or prepping your stuff, checking the mics, all this like all these details, so that when you come and they sit to like listen to you play, you're trying to give them the best hour, 2 hours that they have to like really give them a good time. And I think musicians really understand like user experience on a level where, because it's so competitive,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so, and it's so, it's so subjective, right? It's like you're trying to tickle you're trying to hit them right where it makes their mood good and where it makes them, it's like charm, right? I just saw an article about like some stupid article where it's like, oh, all these restaurants are going to go into like robot delivery waiters. And I was like, okay, great. I'm sure that's going to take off and be a real thing. But it's also like, well, you go to restaurants anywhere, right? Like these places are charm. You go for the experience. Right? You go to restaurants because I want it to be. Sorry, how's the connection now? Did it cut out?
Yeah, the last like 30 seconds maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that like the experience is super important for these type of things, and I think it's the most obvious. And someone made do you know Rainbow Wallet? Do you know what that is?
Familiar.
It's like a top Ethereum wallet, but it's like only on the iPhone, which I think is honestly a huge mistake. It's like only on the phones, right? It's like an app. It's an app wallet. But in my opinion, if your entire ecosystem is based, that has that choke point of Apple or Google, like I have no problem with also having a wallet-based, a phone-based, an app-based, Coinbase is not going to die if Apple bans them from the App Store, right?
Yeah.
Because Coinbase still has their website. Yeah, and they have their wallet and they have a website and whatever, and like you can still do it. So, but the guy, Mike, whatever his name is, who makes Rainbow Wallet, they're basically talking about how with crypto, it's really it's going to be the user, because the back end is going to be equal for everyone. Nobody's going to have an advantage, or like like these big banks will have like they'll have special access to like the Treasury Fed like lending windows, and they have all these like locked in place advantages over like a local community bank or like a credit union or something. And so they'll have like special financial advantages, whereas in crypto it's equal. Like this thing can port anywhere, and you're gonna use so then the winning wallets and the winning apps in fintech and centralized exchanges are going to be the ones with the best user experience, right? Like Robinhood was not doing anything fundamentally deep tech that as we knew with GameStop, like behind the scenes, their deep tech was just the same old banking system, right? Their tech was their UI, which was way better, right? And we realized this year that actually it was like a mirage. Like they weren't actually executing the trades in real time like they represented, and not to fake us out. They were just behind the scenes dealing with this like paper and horse and buggy show behind the scenes as a 100-year-old system. But the front end user experience was so delightful that it really increased people's ability to use to do, basically they like shrunk down these like, I make the argument that Robinhood shrunk down these Bloomberg trading terminals that hedge funds and stuff used to use, like down to like an iPhone. And I was talking, this is why I invested in Robinhood. I was like talking to people, I was like, you don't understand. They were like, what are you doing? Like I always get people thinking I'm like random spy or something because of all the languages, and I'm like traveling around the world and like I don't have a job. And I was like, with like everything that like people on Wall Street used to have, like their information asymmetries and then the advantages they would have because they could talk about what was happening behind the scenes, which is technically illegal, like having like, insider information or whatever. I was like, this was back in the day. Now it's very mainstream. Like in the last year and a half since COVID, everybody figured out like my edge, which was like, I was completely, all my information was on podcasts and YouTube. All my information was podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Like literally I would get back when I was at Tesla, it would be like random YouTubers that would like fly drones over Tesla's like car factories and count the cars in the lots, right?
Wow.
And all the media and everybody was shitting all over them and saying they're not going to make their deliveries. I'm like, looks like they have 10,000 cars ready to get handed over. As far as I could tell, I was like, there's a mismatch of expectation and reality. Sorry, long tangent.
But actually, like the big thing that people
But,
are waiting for now is
next-
like, oh, sorry. Phantom, I think when Phantom comes out with the mobile wallet,
Go ahead.
that's
No,
that's
you have a little bit of delay.
Oh,
Are they working on it? Did you hear about that?
yeah, I heard that they are, and I think once they have a mobile wallet, like it's going to really open up the Solana ecosystem, because that's been a lot of complaints is you have to do everything at a computer, and you can use other Solana wallets like Solid or this multi-network one called Math, but Phantom has the easiest to understand UI, and when they have a mobile app, I think it's going to really port a lot of people over, I think.
Yeah, and I think the biggest, just to make a point about Solana, the biggest criticism I see is twofold. It's like they don't have the ecosystem that Ethereum has, which 100% that makes sense, but it's early days. It's like it's like, okay, well, 1 year after the iPhone, Android did not have the ecosystem that iPhone had, because they were already they created it. I think Ethereum created DeFi. Like you can't make the argument that DeFi started on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was Bitcoin, and Ethereum is its own thing. But DeFi is in my opinion born on Ethereum. There's no question about it. And Solana is they don't have the selection, right, that Ethereum has. And number two, they're super controlled. It's basically like buying coins in a specific company, completely controlled by one company. But
that's what
they
the
are
whole validators thing is for.
They're all their
increasing the
money.
amount of validators.
Yeah, they're gonna increase the validators so that over time it's less centrally controlled. It might be it would go from in my opinion, which is like basically monopoly control right now, to cartel control soon, right? Maybe like they can't 100% control it, but they mostly control it. Like when they went down and then went back up, that was an indication of how much control they had. And then third, like over time, over the longer term horizon, if they keep moving in the direction of decentralization, where, you know, I think the guy's name is Natali. If he gets hit by a bus, this thing should keep spinning. Anatoly, sorry, good catch. Yeah, so I think as long as I'm willing to invest with the understanding that they're moving in the direction that I want them to move in. If your biggest criticism is that there's XYZ problems and they're aware of it and they're moving towards solving those issues, I think that makes a ton of sense. And the argument that Ethereum is not controlled is absurd, because they are literally moving the whole ecosystem up to ETH 2.0 and successfully leading that shift. So whether it's moral control or actual control is hard to know, you know, like it's kind of a fuzzy, there's no like specific like tipping point, I guess you could say. Like you could maybe add up how much ETH there is and how many who controls what, and you could maybe there might be some ways to like have better definitions, but I would just say like it's more of a spectrum. And on one end of the spectrum is the most decentralized thing ever, which is Bitcoin. Yeah. And on the other end of the spectrum is one of the most centralized big chains ever, which is Solana. And I think Solana is moving towards decentralization, but I don't think it'll ever get in the ballpark of gold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody controls gold even today, right?
Yeah,
like there's gold mines everywhere, but people control the dollar, people control the euro, the yen, but it's not like I mean, actually, the big point about the dollar is it's super centrally controlled. Like one, you know, basically one guy can press a button on a computer and like increase the supply. Cool. All right. Well, you successfully fulfilled your role of staring at the screen while I rant at you.
I think at some point, like, I want to take y'all through the marketplace, like do like a screen share or something, so I can show you like how it looks, what I do on it, and then I want to eventually like run you through a mint that I'm doing, so you can see the whole process from
okay, let's schedule that out this week, and then let me know. We'll do at least at minimum you can do a screen record of with a voiceover of some of your activities. And then I've got my trusty sidekick Christina is doing Basa voiceovers with she changes the voice and she does it in Basa. So we thought like we're trying to help level up the Indonesian market. Like the Indonesian market is the ones who speak English are as they're getting the same content everybody else, but like actually I think the market can be much bigger if you get it into their language. So
yeah, I see a lot of Indonesian channels in the NFT projects.
Oh really?
The big ones will create like whole separate channels for different languages. So you'll have like a French channel, a Russian channel.
Do you have any kind of sense of like the sizes? I'm assuming English is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and maybe Chinese. Is Chinese big on there?
I mean, it probably depends on the projects. I don't
because Axie Infinity like dominates the Filipino market, and it was created in the Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm sure if I looked on the Discord for Axie Infinity, you can only see total number, but you can't see like the breakdown of the channel. Like, so you just see total people online and stuff like that. But yeah,
super interesting.
It's a really good idea. For sure.
Super interesting. All right, man, we'll continue. I could talk to you for hours, but we'll cut it short, and then we'll do another one later this week, covering other topics. And congrats on your Boku.
We'll see. I'm the kind of person who like I'm so risk averse that like I expect the bottom to fall out at any moment.
Wait. One final thing. Tell me what happened at that $300 rug pull event that happened last month when I met you. You had the most placid face. You were like, yeah, I lost $300 an hour ago. They rug pulled me. I was like, oh no, what happened? And then you were like, the next day you were like, oh yeah, they came back. But when you lost the money, dude, for whatever reason, I freak out over pennies or whatever. $300 would make me like super. I'd have an emotional reaction.
I think
what happened to them?
They closed the Discord. And
was it a full rug pull?
Yep. Somebody, I don't know, maybe it was the developer, like refunded the gas fees at least.
Oh, so someone did it who wasn't part of the scam was trying to at least save their reputation to say I wasn't part of it, and they refunded the gas fees.
I mean, I don't know that for sure. That's just my guess.
But whoever's refunding whatever is trying their best. Like I wouldn't blame if somebody's refunding what they can. I wouldn't be like, it's not your fault.
That's what made me like still have hope in the project for like a week after or 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, because you had a somewhat positive reaction the second day.
Yeah, and then I realized like, well, and then I found out that the first Solana NFT project that I was in ended up being a soft rug, as they call it. They're like,
what's the difference between a hard rug and soft rug?
A hard rug is where they pull it out like right away, like they'd close the Discord like the next day. All the NFTs are worthless. Like they just took the money from the mint and run. A soft rug is like where they draw it out, probably because they have secondary royalties mixed in. So they're still making money off of the secondary marketplace sales.
What? Oh. And how do they? What do you mean? What do you mean? What are the? We need to go through this because see if you can document this week the red flags of a hard rug pull is okay. Maybe there's red flags. You can like make a list. these are the red flags that indicate you might be getting hard rugged. What are
Yeah,
the
yeah.
flags that indicate a soft rug?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I've actually
less.
been coming up with that list for myself.
Yeah.
So
Write
I
it
can,
out and then let's
yeah.
chat about it, because this
Okay.
is fascinating. Because this is why I was like, let's just start recording, because I want to. You and I are having these conversations anyways. Me and Trevin were having these conversations all the time anyways. Me and Sam for like 4 years were having these amazing investing conversations. And I was like, man, other people, okay, fine, let's just learn in public, and other people will gain insights. Whoever wants to find us and whoever like eventually stumbles upon us and can like stomach my ranting will find nuggets of utility out of here. Because I may not do the same level of like NFT activity as you, but I definitely have not developed a sixth sense of what is nefarious behavior, because I just haven't been playing in it. It's like when the dodo bird and human beings first came into contact. It's not that the dodo birds couldn't have figured out a way to like escape. It's just that they got wiped out too fast, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what happens to people in this space.
yeah, they just like show up in NFT world and get rugged.
Yep, and what I want to do is I want to share this process so it doesn't happen to people and they can make smarter decisions, because and less emotional ones, because people get so into a project and then they're financially invested and they need it to succeed, but they also can't cut their losses, so they don't sell when they probably could still make some of their money back. Uh, but
That is,
then
you know,
they end up
honestly,
just wasting.
that's a classic that's a classic what's it called, what's it, the ring around the, what's a game where you like have the chairs and the music stops and everybody
Musical
rushes?
chairs.
Musical, that's a classic musical chairs
Yep.
pyramid scheme or whatever, where the guys who are running the fraud. So a slow rug pull, in my opinion, was they start to try and take money off the table without having to run on the bank. And so as long as everybody's still circling and keeping their NFTs or whatever, and they're not freaking out as chairs get pulled out. But as soon as there's a run on the bank, as soon as everybody's like, F it, we're selling. Well, at least in that analogy, some people are completely without chairs, right? But at least in the real NFT market, are there fractional? You can still get, everybody can still sell. The people who are being scammed, the sheep or whatever in this context, they can still recover some of their money if they move out even in unison together.
Yeah, but there also has to be buyers.
So then the buyers are the next scammers. It's like still do you know this term called not beggar thy neighbor? That's a term for trade, where like countries will devalue their currency as a way to increase their exports. That's what happened in the 1930s. It's called a greater fool. And it's what the tulip bubble is. This is what everybody's talking about how like crypto is such a scam, because it's all greater fool theory, which is like, I make money as long as some sucker is willing to pay me more. Whereas if I'm buying a intrinsic asset, a productive asset like a farm, I make money as long as people want to. If I buy an apple orchard that produces, it costs me $100 and it produces 100 apples every year, I will make money as long as people still want to consume the apple year 2, year 3, regardless of, I don't have to sell my apple orchard because it's producing something that people want to consume every year. So I can just sit on my apple orchard forever. Whereas if I'm buying just the plot of land and I have no farm and it's not producing anything, and the only way I make money is, the land thing isn't even as good, because of, it's not even a great analogy, because it still does have intrinsic value. It's a material value, but like this stuff is like completely worthless. A, if nobody has any demand for it, and B, if it's a scam, and C, if there's no buyer. And so even if you are selling it, you're then screwing someone else, because you're like,
Yeah, and
it's
that's
tricky.
where the projects, that's why it's so hard to make a good project, because you have to develop the demand out of thin air, basically. And I think, but that's why they're coming up with all these innovative things that they can do to like make themselves stand out and to provide value to the actual NFT rather than just being like, here's a picture. Some people do artist collections and it's just like, this is the art, this is all it is. Like there's no utility to the art or to the NFT, and then you just buy it for collectible. But more and more the trends now are make it have utility, give it like something that can give back to you, or build a company, a brand.
Yeah, see, that has a very strong pyramid scheme type flavor. Like the vibes I'm getting off of this, my mind is going, oh, pyramid schemey, pyramid schemey. But if you're saying, okay, the NFTs, so that's still definitely a thing that's going to happen. Like you just have to watch out for it, and especially like your dragon thing, that's a super hardcore pyramid schemey to me, unless people really long term enjoy it, and then it's just pure entertainment, right? It's like buying royalties to the Beatles, or it's like saying it's not a pyramid scheme if people enjoy Michael Jackson's music. Like if people enjoy the video game, if they're going to continually they're going to pay just to enjoy it, then that's one thing. But when you're talking about NFTs to get a DAO to make a validator, that seems like very cool to me. Like that's like, oh, well, that's exactly the theory that Chris Dixon was talking about, that NFTs are a digital primitive. And it's like the analogy is it's a piece of paper. You can print money on it. You can print poetry on it. You can put art on it. You can put the Bible on it. You can do all kinds of things with a piece of paper. And that's what NFT is. It's like a discrete thing. Plus, it's got all the internet properties of ubiquity and speed and all that stuff.
That's why I'm so excited about the future of NFT. You just have to wade through all this crap.